host this morning,
Muchos de ustedes recibieron al anfitrión esta mañana
explaining to you
explicándoles
why the 8th day is so vital as a mark of the Talmidim.
por qué el octavo yom es algo tan importante como una marca de los Talmidim.
I mentioned to you that such things as a V1, but especially the weekly Shabbat,
Les mencioné tales cosas como el octavo yom, pero tales cosas como el Shabbat semanal.
is a mark of all Israel,
Es una marca de todo Israel,
believers and unbelievers.
creyentes e incrédulos.
But only those from among Israel
Pero solamente aquellos que son de entre Israel,
who are redeemed Israel
quienes son Israel redimido,
are willing and able and ready
están dispuestos, capaces y listos
to follow the practice
para seguir la práctica
and the tradition
y la tradición,
of the Apostles' Torah.
las tradiciones de la Torah de los apóstoles.
So we would not say that the 8th day
Así que nosotros no diríamos que el octavo yom
is a Shabbat,
es un Shabbat,
but it is a mark
pero sí es una marca
of obedience
de obediencia.
to the Torah or the instructions.
El octavo yom es una marca de obediencia a la Torah y a las instrucciones
Of the Shlichim.
de los Shelichim.
And like I told you in the post that you'll see on the timeline earlier today,
Y como les dije en el anuncio que vieron o podrán ver que puse en mi página de Facebook anteriormente,
if Adon Yahusha
si el Adon Yahusha
is the Aleph Taf,
es el Aleph Tau,
then the Shabbat
entonces el Shabbat
can be considered
puede ser considerado
the Tau.
el Tau,
Tau.
el Tau,
Tau.
Tau.
Whereas the next day, the beginning or the first fruit
Mientras que el próximo yom, que es la primicia de el principio de las primicias de la semana,
of the next 7-day cycle,
el próximo ciclo de 7 yamim,
with the apostles in hope of eternity and eternal life in the presence of the King.
lo que los apóstoles en la esperanza de la perpetuidad en presencia del Rey
Referred to as Yom Shemini.
se referían a él como Yom Shemini.
And that was seen not only by their willingness to obey the apostles' Torah,
Y eso se veía por su disposición a obedecer la instrucción de los apóstoles,
but confirmed by the Zadokite
pero confirmado por el descendiente de Tzadok
or the Levite,
o el levita
Barnabas,
Barnabá,
as we read in chapter 15.
como leemos en el capítulo 15.
So we see the practice of the redeemed part, not all Israel,
Así que vemos la práctica de la porción que ha sido redimida, no de todo Israel,
the redeemed part
solamente la porción redimida,
that they followed up their Shabbat meeting,
que ellos seguían su reunión de Shabbat,
as we had yesterday,
como nosotros ayer tuvimos,
with another assembly,
con otra asamblea,
with another meeting.
con otra reunión.
And so now that we have the joy of the Shabbat, the true Shabbat that will never change, not under my stewardship,
Así,
that'll never change, not under my stewardship, unless the Master himself comes down from heaven with a shout and shows me something different.
así que ya que tenemos el Shabbat real y que no cambiará bajo mi supervisación, solo que venga el soberano Mashiach con su propia instrucción a mí y con algo diferente.
But I also want to show the mark that Abba has put on us as a ministry and me as an individual.
Pero igual queremos enseñar la marca que Yahuwah ha puesto sobre nosotros y a nosotros como ministerio y a mí como individuo.
That I do not belong to Judaism
Que yo no
or the rabbis.
que no pertenezco al judaísmo ni a los rabinos.
That my loyalty and my debt of gratitude
Que mi lealtad y mi deuda de complacencia
are to the
de
shlichim
Jodú es a los shlichim, a los apóstoles,
who are faithful to bear witness of the message and preserve the message and proclaim the message.
Quienes fueron leales para preservar, entregar y proclamar el mensaje.
That I and my mishpacha
Que yo y mi mishpacha
have entered into
hemos entrado en ello.
joyfully and without regret.
Jubilosamente y sin
So it's for
ningún
me
temor.
and my house.
Así que en cuanto a mí y mi casa,
Yahusha 24:15.
Yahusha 24:15.
We will serve Yahuwah
Nosotros serviremos a Yahuwah
on the correct, eternal, unchangeable weekly Shabbat that is the end, the tau of a 7-day cycle.
en el Shabbat correcto, que es incambiable, es perpetuo y es la Tao, la letra última del hebreo, del alfabeto hebreo, y que nunca va a cambiar.
As well as the day, the Aleph.
Al igual que el Yom Aleph.
The Aleph day or the 8th day.
El Yom Aleph fue el octavo Yom.
We see the cycle.
Vemos el ciclo.
Yahusha is the Aleph and the tau.
Yahusha es el Aleph y el Tao.
So we take the last day of the week
Así que tomamos el último Yom de la semana
and we declare that we are Israel.
y declaramos que somos Israel.
We assemble as required by Torah.
Nos asambleamos así como requiere Torah.
Almost every Shabbat,
Casi todo Shabbat,
almost 1,000 students of Yahusha,
casi miles de
saved,
estudiantes
redeemed individuals,
de Yahusha, individuos redimidos,
join with us
se unen con nosotros
via our worldwide
a
broadcast.
través de nuestra transmisión que esparcimos por todo el
And
mundo.
we're expecting even greater things in this coming Torah year.
Y estamos esperando cosas aún más grandes en este año de Torah.
We look
No.
forward to our broadcast having 2
Estamos esperando que cuando nuestra transmisión se componga de 2,
maybe even 3,000 students every Shabbat.
quizás aún 3,000 estudiantes en cada Shabbat.
Which goes to show that if you just stick to the truth and you tell the truth in love,
Lo que comprueba que si uno se apega a la emet y si la declara en ahava, en amor,
people will tune in to other messianic teachers for a while.
la gente se va a sintonizar a otros maestros mesiánicos por un tiempo.
I'm trying to say this with some humility.
Y lo estoy tratando de decir con algo de humildad.
But when they get hungry
Pero cuando les da hambre
and they're starved
y están hambrientos
and they're tired of just dancing
y cansados de solo
and going to
danzar
messianic music venues,
y ir a lugares, eventos mesiánicos,
they come back to this ministry.
regresan a este ministerio.
Even those who don't agree with us,
Aún los que no acuerdan con nosotros,
because we preach such eternal, unchangeable truths.
porque predicamos tales cosas, realidades que son incambiables,
As Torah
perpetuas,
marriage,
tales como el convenio
True
de acuerdo a
names.
Torah, los nombres reales,
two houses,
las 2 casas,
that the Father has a bride just like Yahusha has
que
a
el
bride.
Abba tiene una novia, así como Yahusha tiene una novia.
When they're hungry,
Cuando tienen hambre,
that proves
eso comprueba
if you stick to your
que
guns,
si te apegas a tus pistolas,
if you stick to your calling,
si te apegas a tu llamado,
if you don't move and you're not shaken
si no te mueves y no
by
eres
criticism,
sacudido por el criticismo,
rejection,
por el rechazo
and every wind of doctrine,
y todo aire de doctrina,
the crowds will return
las masas regresarán
because the crowds are hungry.
porque las masas tienen hambre.
Every time Yahusha fed them, they returned.
Cada vez que Yahusha les daba de comer, regresaban.
Some of them didn't give a diddly squat holy hoot
Algunas no les importaba
or,
para nada.
or a hula hoop. Hoopa hula. What this strange, long-bearded, blue-eyed Rebbe was teaching.
Lo que este rabino estaba enseñando.
But they came back for the tilapia.
Pero se regresaron por la tilapia
And they came back for the bread.
y regresaron por el lajem.
And they came back for the smoked salmon.
y regresaron por el salmón ahumado.
How do I know Yahusha ate a lot of fish?
Como sé que Yahusha comió mucho pescado.
When he rose from the dead, he served fish for breakfast.
Cuando él se levantó entre los muertos, sirvió pescado para el desayuno.
And then he invited his Talmidim to eat.
Y luego invitó a sus talmidim a que lo comieran.
So the crowds will, in this Torah year, I believe we're going to have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people banging the door down to get in so that the broadband and that the bandwidth is overcome and so that the bandwidth is challenged.
Estoy cierto que con la ayuda de Yahuwah van a venir las masas de personas en la cantidad de 3,000, 4,000 personas para que la conexión de internet sea retada.
I'm looking forward to having so many listeners that are hungry for truth.
Estoy ansioso por tener tantos oyentes que tengan hambre por la net.
The website on Facebook crashes.
Que la página en Facebook choque.
Oh, Yahweh can make that happen.
Yahuwah puede hacer que eso pase.
And so
Amén.
today
Y entonces hoy
is a mark
es una marca
of redeemed Israel.
del Israel redimido.
Yes, you can do whatever you want
Sí, puedes hacer lo que quieras.
today.
Hoy.
For many of you, this is your rest day.
Para muchos de ustedes este es su yom de descanso,
Shopping,
de ir de compras,
doing chores.
de hacer trabajos en su casa.
All that is fine.
Todo eso está top.
But how about honoring every 8th day?
Pero ¿qué tal estimar cada octavo yom?
As the Shlichim's Torah commands, and as such Shlichim as Barnabas commands.
Así como ordena la instrucción de los shlichim, la Torah de los shlichim, y como la Torah de Barnabá instruye.
What a statement that would begin to make.
Una declaración que comenzamos a hacer.
If the last day of each week
Si el último yom de cada semana
we assemble
nos asambleamos
on the true, eternal, perpetual 7-day Shabbat,
en el real y perpetuo Shabbat de cada séptimo yom,
and then we offer Yahuwah by our obedience and attendance through this broadcast. I know some of you are spread out,
y le ofrecemos a Yahuwah a través de nuestra obediencia en esta transmisión, y sé que algunos de ustedes están esparcidos,
but how about if we unite
pero ¿qué tal si nos unimos
together,
juntos,
even though we're scattered,
aunque estemos esparcidos,
to show obedience that yes,
para enseñar la obediencia que sí,
we are not worried or frightened
no estamos preocupados ni temerosos
to be under authority,
de estar bajo la autoridad,
but not religious, rabbinic, or Catholic or church authority,
pero no la autoridad rabinical ni de la iglesia,
but the authority of a Zadokite ministry
pero la autoridad de un ministerio de
that
Tzadok,
functions in the authority and the power and through the oversight
que funciona a través de la autoridad, del poder y la supervisión
of the order of Malki Tzedek.
de la orden de Malkitzedek.
Malki Tzedek or Malki Tzedek
Malkitzedek o Malkitzedek
means that Yahusha
quiere decir que Yahusha,
himself
él mismo,
is the head of this order,
es la cabeza de esta orden
and we function on his authority.
y que funcionamos bajo su autoridad.
And no matter how you read the Kitvei HaKadosh,
Y no importa cómo tú leas los Kitvei HaKadosh, los escritos apartados,
we cannot escape the conclusion
no podemos escapar la conclusión
that the Talmidim celebrated Shabbos.
que los Talmidim celebraban el Shabbat,
They were Torah observant,
observaban Torah
and they celebrated Shabbos.
y celebraban el Shabbat,
But they stayed the extra day.
pero se quedaban el Yom, el día adicional.
Maybe they fellowshiped through the night, maybe they came back the next morning,
Quizás convivían toda la laila y regresaban al amanecer,
because that was before WhatsApp
porque eso era antes de WhatsApp
and social media.
y los medios sociales.
And they had fish for breakfast.
Y desayunaban pescado.
That's what the master taught them to eat for breakfast.
Eso es lo que el soberano les enseñó a comer para su desayuno.
Fish and honeycomb.
Pescado y miel.
Not a bad deal.
Honeycomb.
Melon is okay.
Melón está todo.
So, what an honor
Que estima
to obey him
para obedecerle.
Not only in 2 days in a row and 2 days that are connected,
No solamente 2 yamim seguidos y 2 yamim que se siguen,
but we make a statement that this is not about Sunday church.
pero hacemos una declaración que esto
Sí,
no se trata
sí,
de
sí.
la iglesia dominical.
You see, the devil
Es que el diablo
took a principle of Torah taught by the apostles
tomó un principio de Torah enseñado por los apóstoles
and hijacked it down Park Avenue
y se lo secuestró por toda la avenida del parque
and began to build crystal cathedrals
y comenzó a construir catedrales de cristal
and Lakewood Church
y la iglesia Lakewood
and turned the 8th day
y convirtió en el 8º yom
an apostolic Torah observant declaration that now it's the first day. We remember that the first Adam, but the 8th day, the first day of a new age, we are remembering the finished work of the second Adam.
y convirtió el 8º yom en una declaración toraica apostólica
That we remember, the second Adam.
que recordamos que el segundo Adán estableció.
We're not going to identify with the first Adam
Y no nos vamos a identificar con el primer Adán
forever.
para siempre.
When we celebrate this day,
Cuando celebramos este yom,
we remember the order
nos acordamos de la orden
that led to their sin,
que condujo a su pecado,
their downfall.
su caída.
When we turn this day into a celebration
Pero cuando convertimos este yom en una celebración
of Yahusha,
de Yahushua,
the day he was found, not rose, but he was found missing.
el yom en que fue encontrado levantado, pero que no estaba ya en el sepulcro,
We declare
declaramos
that the millennial kingdom
que el reino milenial
is the Tao,
es el Tao,
the Yom Shekulo Shabbat,
el Yom Shekulo Shabbat,
1,000 years of millennial Shabbat,
1000 años del Shabbat milenial,
and then followed by the dawn
seguido por el amanecer
of the 8th day,
del 8º yom día,
which is the blessings of eternity.
que son las bendiciones de la perpetuidad.
It's a circle,
Es un círculo,
Aleph Tav.
Aleph Tau.
So let me encourage you, because this is Aviv 5,
Así que déjenme animarles porque hoy es Aviv 5,
which is the first 8th day of every Torah
que
year.
es el primer 8º día de cada año de Torah.
And so all the 8th days are just like the Shabbat.
Y todos los 8º yamim son como los Shabbats.
5,
5,
12,
12,
19,
19,
Resurrection Day,
yom de resurrección,
26,
26,
first fruits.
primicias.
And one thing that we teach that you probably won't hear anywhere else
Y una cosa que enseñamos que quizás no escuchen en ningún otro lugar
is the difference
es la diferencia
between Habikur
entre Habikur
and Bikurim.
y Bikurim.
See, people think, ooh,
La gente piensa, mira,
Yahusha has to rise on first fruits.
Yahushua se tiene que levantar en el yom de las primicias.
No, he doesn't.
No, no lo tiene que
Because
hacer.
we are the first fruits.
Porque nosotros somos las primicias.
He is the definite article, singular, the
Él es-
first fruit.
Él es la primicia, singular, artículo singular, exclusivo.
People think that he has to die on Aviv 14
La gente piensa que él tiene que morir en Aviv 14,
because he's the lamb.
porque él es el cordero.
What they don't realize is they don't realize a lot of things.
Lo que no reconocen y no reconocen muchas cosas.
He did die on the lunar 14
Sí murió en el lunar 14
to show the Jews that he was the lamb.
para enseñarle a los Yahudim que él era el cordero.
But see, he died on the 15th.
Pero él murió en el 15.
And I'm going to tell you why, and you probably never heard this before.
Y les voy a decir por qué, y quizás ustedes no lo hayan escuchado antes.
So he could still be the lamb,
Así que él todavía puede seguir siendo el cordero,
but die on the solar 15th.
pero morir en el solar 15.
Because number one,
Porque en primer lugar,
to those that he was sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel,
para aquellos a quien él fue enviado, a las ovejas perdidas de la casa de
it
Israel,
was the 14th.
era el 14.
So he's got that part covered.
Así que esa parte la tiene cubierta.
But As I begin to meditate on something,
Pero al comenzar a meditar en algo,
and I'm going to study this out a little bit
y
more
esto lo voy a estudiar un poco más
before I teach it,
antes de enseñarlo,
as finished work, categorical doctrine.
como doctrina de obra finalizada, obra categórica,
We are commanded on the 15th day of Aviv
se nos ordena en el 15 de Aviv
to have a Mikra Kodesh,
tener una Mikra Kodesh, una reunión, asamblea apartada,
just like today.
así como hoy,
Mikra Kodesh,
Mikra
a
Kodesh,
worldwide assembly.
una asamblea mundial.
So from that sense,
Así que de ese sentido,
no work is allowed
ningún trabajo se permite
as we remember the Exodus.
al acordarnos del Éxodo.
On the 15th of Aviv,
En el 15 de Aviv,
an annual
un
Shabbat,
Shabbat anual,
no work is allowed,
no se permite
no laborious work,
ningún trabajo laborioso,
because Yahuwah has transferred it.
porque Yahuwah lo ha transferido,
Yahuwah has transformed it
Yahuwah lo ha transformado
into a memorial of the Exodus.
recordatorio del Éxodo.
So yes,
Así que sí,
as we stand today,
al estar hoy nosotros
looking back,
viendo hacia atrás,
it's clearly a commanded annual Shabbat.
claramente es un Shabbat anual ordenado.
However,
Sin embargo,
I propose this to you.
les propongo esto a
The
ustedes.
true Shabbat.
El real Shabbat.
Oh, you're not going to get this anywhere else. Matter of fact, I may just hold on to this for the end of the broadcast.
Y quizás esto no lo puedan recibir en ningún otro lugar y quizás esto lo retenga para hasta el final
So that
de
you
la
can-
transmisión,
So that you can learn to fear the beard
para que puedan aprender a respetar la barba
of Yahusha.
de Yahusha.
This is Yahusha's beard,
Esta es la barba de Yahusha
and this is my beard.
y esta es mi barba.
Which one do you think is nicer?
¿Cuál creen que es mejor?
Oh, it looks the same.
Oh, se ve igual.
That's good. I want to be like him.
Eso es todo porque yo quiero ser como él.
That's my goal.
Esa es mi meta.
And I'm not so sure he didn't drink coffee. Don't write me any emails about coffee. Get lost.
Y no tengo la
In my
certeza.
fantasy, in my personal
Y
fantasy,
no tengo la certeza que él no haya bebido café. No me escriban cartas al respecto.
mi
Piérdanse.
Yeshua,
Pero en mi fantasía personal, mi Yahusha
bebe café.
bebe café. He has a
He
cup just
probably
like yours.
didn't. I admit. Don't write me no nasty letters. I'm going to send them right back.
Quizás no bebía café. No me escriban cartas malvadas o si no se las regreso.
As long as you learn to fear the beard,
Siempre y cuando aprendan a temer la barba,
respect the beard.
respeten la barba.
Let me get back to what I was saying.
Regresando a lo que decía.
I want,
We're not going to say anything to the end of the
even
podcast.
though we're going to have more listeners later,
Aunque vamos a tener más oyentes después,
I want to. I don't care about them.
no me importa de ellos.
I want to reward those who tune in on time
Yo quiero galardonar a los que se sintonizan a
and who
tiempo,
tune in early.
que se sintonizan temprano.
Here's the understanding.
Aquí viene el entendimiento.
The original Shabbat
El Shabbat original
was Pesach.
fue Pesach.
Well,
¿Oh?
the 14th day of Aviv,
El 14 de Aviv
no work was
no
done
se hacía ningún trabajo,
except what?
excepto que to prepare what you were going to eat.
Thank you.
Excepto el preparar lo que uno iba a comer. Focus is on the lamb.
You
All the
couldn't. You
yom.
couldn't. You
El
couldn't.
enfoque todo el yom era en el cordero.
You couldn't continue baking unleavened bread.
No podías continuar cociendo lejem con levadura.
It had to stop.
Tenía que cesar.
The preparation had to stop.
La preparación tenía que cesar.
Everything had to stop
Todo tenía que cesar.
because in the morning they would be leaving
Porque en la mañana se estarían yendo
with bags,
con bolsas.
buying and selling.
El comprar y vender.
Give me your gold.
Dame tu oro.
Give me your silver.
Dame de tu plata.
We are leaving.
Ya nos vamos.
Give me your cattle.
Dame de tu ganado.
Feeding the cattle.
Darle de comer al ganado.
Bearing and carrying and exchanging burdens.
Llevando y intercambiando cargas.
The 15th of Aviv, the day of the Exodus,
El 15 de Aviv, que era el Yom del Éxodo,
was not a Shabbat.
no era un Shabbat.
Today,
Hoy
it is a Shabbat.
sí es un Shabbat.
In retrospect,
Viendo hacia atrás,
we look back,
vemos hacia
and Yahweh
atrás
says, commemorate,
y Yahuwah dice, acuérdense,
commemorate. And
acuérdense.
so, yes, it is a required, no laborious work.
Y sí, es un Yom de requerido donde no se puede trabajar.
And on April 4th, we'll be coming to you.
Y el 4 de abril estaremos viniendo a ustedes.
So we're not negating the Torah.
Así que no estamos negando la Torah.
But what I'm trying to explain to
Pero
you,
lo que les estoy intentando explicar
it was the Pesach,
que era la
where they were
Pesach,
to rest,
donde tenían que descansar,
prepare what must be prepared,
preparar lo que se tenía que preparar
and rest.
y descansar.
Even while the angel of death was destroying the firstborn.
Aun cuando el ángel de la muerte
Mastema.
estaba destruyendo a los primogénitos, Mastema,
In the book of Yoblim,
en el libro de Jubileos.
S period, A period, 10 is called
Ese
Mastema.
punto A, punto tan, se llama y se conoce como Mastema.
Rest in the Lamb,
Descansa en el Cordero.
even while the angel, the Melech HaMavet,
Aun cuando el ángel, el Malach Hamabet,
is just doing his destruction.
está haciendo su destrucción.
That was a complete rest.
Ese fue un descanso completo.
That was the original Shabbat.
Ese fue el Shabbat original.
Now think with me.
Y mediten conmigo.
Yahusha couldn't die
Yahusha no pudo haber muerto
on the 14th.
el 14.
See, this is the mind of Yahweh.
Ven, esta es la mente de Yahuwah,
Because it was a Shabbat.
porque fue un Shabbat.
The next day of work
El próximo Yom del trabajo
and liberación.
y de la liberación,
Didn't the death of Yeshua bring liberación?
que no trajo la muerte de Yahusha, la liberación, la
But
desencadenación.
look how clever Yahweh is.
Pero miren lo astuto que es Yahuwah.
He's light years ahead of us.
Él está años de luz avanzado a comparación de nosotros.
Let's not play games here.
No juguemos
I don't want to
juegos.
play games.
Yo no quiero jugar juegos.
Yahusha died on the 14th
Yahusha murió el 14
for the rebels
para los rebeldes,
because he came for the lost sheep of Israel.
porque él vino para las ovejas perdidas de Israel.
So he found a way
Así que encontró la manera
to die on the lunar rabbinical 14th.
de morir en el 14 rabinical lunar.
Keep Shabbat with the disciples
Guardar Shabbat con los Talmidim.
on the night of the third day of the week,
La laila del tercer yom de la semana
or the 14th,
o el 14.
and then be killed on a day that was a work day.
Y luego ser inmolado o matado en un yom
Yes?
que era un yom
When
laboral.
Yahusha dies on the tree,
Cuando Yahusha muere sobre el
he
madero,
says the work is finished.
él dice, ya se acabó la obra.
I always wondered, wait a second, how could he not die on the 14th? And if he died on the 15th, he would be breaking the annual Shabbat.
Y yo siempre me preguntaba, ¿cómo puede él morir en el 14? Y si muere en el 15, estaría quebrando el Shabbat anual.
Now you have your answer.
Ya tienen su respuesta.
That requires the Ruach,
Eso requiere de la Ruach,
that requires digging
requiere el excavar
to understand this.
para comprender esto.
But I know this for a fact.
Yo sé de esto de hecho.
What I didn't know, I knew all this before,
Lo que no sabía anteriormente, todo esto lo sabía yo antes.
and I've taught this before.
Y he enseñado de esto.
What I didn't know,
Pero lo que yo no sabía
or it didn't hit me,
o no me golpeó
is that Pesach
es que la Pesaj
is the Shabbat.
es el Shabbat.
The 15th.
El 15,
Is anybody going to argue
¿va alguien a discutir
that on the day of the
que en el
Exodus,
Yom del Éxodo
there wasn't massive amount of exchanging and buying and selling and trading and loading and packing and carrying? Come on now. There's not a single person that would refer to that as any kind of a Shabbat.
hubo una cantidad masiva de movimiento, de mudarse, de empacar, de trasladar, mucho trabajo y nadie puede negar que eso no era quebrantar un Shabbat.
Talk over here, because when your voice goes that way, I can hear it on the tape.
Okay.
Okay? So type in between. So that is a tremendous understanding
Así que ese es un entendimiento tremendo
that I now see.
que hoy yo veo.
Now, again, let me clarify.
Una vez más, déjenme clarificar.
We are not carrying and packing and schlepping anything
Nosotros no estamos cargando, ni empacando, ni llevando nada, moviendo nada.
on the day after Passover.
En el Yom después de la Pascua.
So Yahuwah says, okay, rest,
Así que Yahuwah dice, miren, descansen,
look back,
vean hacia atrás
and take a Shabbat.
y tómense un Shabbat.
Take a Shabbat.
Tómense un Shabbat.
So you can meditate on what I did.
Para que puedan meditar en cuanto a lo que yo hice.
But their Shabbat,
Pero el Shabbat de
the
ellos,
Shabbat of rest and escape from
el
death,
Shabbat de ellos de descanso y del escape de la muerte,
was on the Pesach,
fue en la Pascua.
other than the preparation.
Además del Yom de
And
preparación.
there was no
Y
preparation,
no había preparación,
not even bread,
ni siquiera lejem.
had no time to
No
rise,
tenía tiempo para levantarse
They weren't
de la
allowed
levadura.
to pack.
No se les permitía empacar.
Yahuwah said, sandals,
Yahuwah dijo sandalias, zapatos,
clothing,
sus ropas
and a staff.
y una vara.
He didn't allow them to even pack.
No les permitió ni siquiera empacar.
That was a Shabbat.
Ese fue un Shabbat.
Now here comes
Y
Yahusha,
aquí viene Yahusha.
and he understood all that.
Y él comprendió todo
He
eso.
celebrated Shabbat with his
Él
Talmudim
celebró Shabbat con sus Talmidim
and died on a work
y
day.
murió en un Yom
But it
laboral.
was still the Passover season.
Pero seguía siendo la temporada de la
He rose
Pascua.
on the 19th,
Se levantó en el 19,
at the end of Shabbat on the 18th,
Al
into
fin.
the sunrise of the 19th.
finalizando el Shabbat 18 y antes del amanecer del 19. De Habdalah.
Without being the first fruits.
Sin ser las primicias.
He died 1 week
Él murió una semana
before first fruits.
antes de la celebración de
But,
las
but
primicias.
because the Messianic movement and the teachers that you've been listening
Pero a
to
causa de que el movimiento mesiánico y los maestros a los que tú has estado escuchando
have the premise
tienen la primicia,
that Yahusha has to be the first fruits, plural.
que Yahusha tiene que ser las primicias en plural,
They force the day of first fruits
forzan que el Yom de las primicias
into the Sunday
sea el domingo
following his resurrection.
siguiendo su resurrección.
But the Zadokites, over which Yahusha is Melech,
Pero los descendientes de Tzadok, sobre los cuales Yahusha es el Melech,
has taught us differently.
nos ha enseñado diferente.
We know from the records in the Dead Sea Scrolls
Conocemos de los archivos en los pergaminos del Mar Muerto
that Bikurim,
que Bikurim, la fiesta de las primicias,
the first Bikurim of barley,
la primicia de la cebada,
was 1 week after
fue una semana después
Pesach week.
de la semana de la
It
Pesach.
was not Yom Echad during Pesach
No fue
week.
Yom Ejad durante la semana de la Pascua,
It was Yom Echad following.
pero fue el Yom Ejad siguiendo esa celebración.
So Yahusha doesn't have to be
Así que Yahusha no tiene que ser
the first fruit.
las primicias.
He's not the first fruits.
Él no es las primicias.
First comes the first fruit,
Primero viene la primicia
then
singular,
in order,
singular, y luego en el orden,
the first fruits.
las primicias.
He rises
Plural.
first,
Plural. Él se levanta primero
and then 1 week later,
y una semana después
we are presented by him
somos presentados por él
to the Father.
al Abba.
You see, as this same principle.
Es el mismo principio.
If and when you want to understand
Si es que cuando tú quieras comprender
why he celebrated Passover on the correct day,
por qué,
a Shabbat,
porque él celebró el Shabbat en el Yom correcto, que fue para él un Shabbat,
the 14th.
el 14.
That was his final rest
Ese fue su descanso final
with his Talmudim.
con sus Talmidim.
That's why they were reclining.
Por eso se estaban reclinando,
They were
descansando,
resting.
descansando.
Free men,
Hombres libres,
as free men.
como hombres libres, Baruch Hashem Yahuwah.
The work commenced
La obra comenzó
the following day,
al próximo Yom.
the finished work.
La obra finalizada.
Yahusha
completa.
died on the 15th
Yahusha murió en el 15
because it was the greatest work and the heaviest burden ever carried in this world.
porque fue la obra mayor.
It was a
grande,
work day for
El
Mashiach.
cargo mayor que se había
It
cargado
was a work day
en este
for the
mundo.
Mashiach.
Era un Yom laboral para el Mashiach. Era un Yom laboral para el Mashiach.
If you saw the nails and the blood and the weeping,
Si hubieras visto los clavos, la sangre, el llanto,
you would know it was a work day.
Hubiera sabido que es una obra, un yom de labor,
That gave us our liberation
que nos dio nuestra liberación
from sin.
del pecado.
And then comes the Torah.
Y luego viene Torah.
It says rest.
Dice, descansen. Baruch
Rest.
Hashem Yahuwah. His work was our rest.
Rest.
Descansar.
We rest, we celebrate liberation
Descansamos. Celebramos nuestra desencadenación, nuestra liberación
from Pharaoh
de Faraón
and from sin.
y del pecado.
It's perfect.
Es perfecto.
It's perfect.
Baruch Hashem
He
Yahuwah.
doesn't have to die on the 14th,
Él no tiene que morir en el 14,
even though he did.
aunque sí lo hizo.
Because Josephus tells us
Porque Josefus nos dice
that on the 14th,
que en el 14
the lambs were being slaughtered,
los corderos estaban siendo inmolados,
beginning at 3 p.m.
comenzando a las 3 de la tarde.
When do you think Yahusha gave up the spirit?
Cuando creen que Yahusha rendió su ruach
As the Lamb of Yah,
como el cordero de Yahuwah
3 p.m.
a las 3.
So it was perfectly timed
Así que fue perfectamente el tiempo
for both the message
para ambos, el mensaje
and the reality
y la realidad
of the Torah calendar.
del calendario de Torah.
And for all those who are going to be tuning in a half hour,
Y para todos aquellos que se van a sintonizar en media hora,
they missed it.
se lo perdieron.
Now, by the way,
Y además,
I have some good news.
les tengo alegres noticias.
In addition to our live broadcast on Shabbat and on the 8th day,
Además de nuestra transmisión en vivo en el Shabbat y en el octavo Yom,
I found a way to edit the 4-hour service
encontré una manera de editar el servicio de 4 shaot,
and-
horas,
and narrow it down to just the teaching.
y de resumirlo a solo la enseñanza.
And when I narrow it down to just the teaching,
Cuando lo resumo a solamente la enseñanza,
I'm able to convert it to HD.
puedo convertirlo a HD,
So I
alta
can,
definición.
Facebook will not allow me to broadcast in HD
Facebook no me permite transmitir en HD
because they don't have enough broadband,
porque no tienen suficiente
and neither do we.
espacio de comunicación o transmisión, y tampoco nosotros.
So they don't want to mess up their bandwidth.
Así que ellos no quieren arruinar su conexión.
So the people who broadcast longer meetings
Así que las personas que transmiten reuniones más largas
don't get HD.
no tienen HD.
But what I'm doing now,
Pero lo que yo estoy haciendo en este momento,
I'm editing the service
estoy editando el servicio
to just the teaching.
a solo la enseñanza.
I'm converting it to high definition,
Estoy convirtiendo a alta
and
definición
I'm uploading it to YouTube.
y la estoy subiendo a YouTube.
So if you go on YouTube,
Así que si van a YouTube,
on our YouTube channel,
en nuestro canal de YouTube,
Your Arms to Israel Global channel,
sus brazos de Israel, Your Arms to Israel Global, el canal de Your Arms to Israel Global,
you'll see yesterday's teaching
verán la enseñanza de ayer
in HD.
en HD.
And I'm going to do that from now on.
Y eso es lo que voy a hacer de hoy en adelante.
So if you want to review,
Así que si quieren
you
repasar,
don't have to sit through the entire service.
no tienen que sentarse por el servicio
And you
entero.
don't have to look for where the teaching
Y
begins.
no tienen que buscar en dónde comienza el servicio,
So-
la enseñanza.
So hopefully this will be a benefit
Así que esperamos que esto sea de provecho
to many.
a muchos.
And I want to encourage you to join us because every 8th day,
Y quiero animarles a que se unan con nosotros porque cada octavo yom,
because Shabbat shows that you're Israel,
porque el Shabbat enseña que tú eres
but the
Israel.
rabbis are not assembling today.
Pero hoy no se reúnen los rabinos.
The followers of the Orthodox Jews and the Lubavitch are not assembling today. Why?
Los seguidores de los rabinos ortodoxos y de Lubavitch hoy no se están reuniendo. ¿Y por qué es eso?
Because they're not marked
Porque no están marcados
as Talmidim.
como Talmidim.
So don't tell me it's not important.
Así que no me digan que no es importante.
The church
La iglesia
has stolen this,
ha robado esto.
called it Sunday Shabbat.
Lo llamó el Shabbat
It is
dominical.
neither Sunday or Shabbat.
No es ni siquiera, no es ni el domingo ni el Shabbat.
But behind every lie, there's some truth, isn't
Pero
there?
detrás de toda mentira hay algo de realidad, ¿cierto?
See what happened?
¿Ven lo que pasó?
That's how they wound up with Sunday Shabbat.
Así es como acabaron con el Shabbat dominical.
So if you know nothing about our ministry, we are Torah observant.
Así que si no saben nada de nuestro ministerio, nosotros observamos Torah
And we do not initiate Sunday
y no
services.
iniciamos los servicios del domingo.
That's not why we're here on a Sunday.
Para esto no hemos llegado aquí en un domingo.
We're here on a Sunday
Estamos aquí en un domingo.
because our apostles knew it as the 8th day.
Porque nuestros apóstoles lo conocían como el octavo
And they
día.
tell us what to do.
Y ellos nos dicen lo que tenemos que hacer.
So if you gather with me every Yom Shmini,
Así que si se reúnen conmigo cada Yom Shmini,
you are following the instructions or the Torah
están siguiendo las instrucciones o la Torah
of the Shalichim.
de los Shelichim.
Now, those of you who have read and yesterday we had 1,000 listeners.
Y ayer tuvimos 1,000 oyentes.
1,000.
1,000, Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Blows my mind.
Me
Sri
asombra.
Lanka, Hawaii,
Sri Lanka, Hawaii,
Pakistan,
Pakistán,
India,
la India,
China,
China,
Israel.
Israel.
It's amazing.
Es maravilloso.
It's just
Es
amazing.
maravilloso. Baruch Hashem
And the
Yahweh.
people here in Baker County, you've got to beg them.
Y la gente
I
aquí en
ain't
el
begging you.
condado de Baker les tiene
Begging
uno que
you.
rogar.
You
Yo
don't
no
want
les
to
voy a
come?
rogar.
Don't come.
Si no quieren venir, no vengan.
I'm too smart and too old to beg
Yo
you.
soy demasiado inteligente y demasiado viejo para rogar.
Because there are hundreds and thousands of people around the world
Porque
who understand the anointing when they hear it and they see it.
hay cientos y miles de personas por todo
They're
el
not being
mundo
fooled.
que comprenden la unción cuando la ven y no están siendo engañados.
People in Baker County, well, I go to church.
La gente en el condado Baker, yo voy a la iglesia.
I don't want to sit in somebody else's house.
No quiero sentarme en la casa de alguien más.
It's all the same anyway.
Todo es lo mismo de todos modos.
I ain't begging nobody any. No more calls,
Ya
no
no
more
le voy a
letters.
rogar a nadie. Ya no voy a enviar.
This is where the meal is being served.
Aquí es donde se está
If the meal is
sirviendo la
being served
comida.
at your house, I'll go there.
Si la comida se está sirviendo en tu casa, yo voy a ir ahí.
I don't see begging, I see fishing.
Yo no veo rogar, yo veo pescar.
I don't see begging.
Yo no veo rogar.
We're called to be fishers,
Somos llamados a ser pescadores,
not beggars.
no rogadores.
Our reading for this special first Yom Shmini of the year,
Nuestra lectura para este primer Yom Shemini del año es
I'm
especial.
going to ask the sister Mariamni to turn the camera upon herself.
Y voy a pedirle a la Jot Mariamni que cambie,
And don't worry,
voltee la cámara sobre sí misma.
you look fine.
Y no se preocupe, se ve todo.
You look very fine.
Se ve muy todo.
Do a spin. Do a camera spin. She's so camera shy, it makes me sick. She does it for you people, believe me. She loves you guys, otherwise she wouldn't do it. Trust me. When I first got her, she was hiding in the closet. The only reason she wouldn't do this for me, but she loves you guys, so she goes on camera. It's true. Don't blush. Don't blush. Mom's watching, and Papa. You need it.
You need
You
it.
need to be on camera. You
You're
need.
gonna see them so.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put the camera right under your neck, and then I'm gonna do the you need it test.
Okay.
Matidyahu chapter 4.
Vamos a Matthew capítulo 4. Matthew chapter 4. Mateo 4. Then was Yahusha led up by the Ruach into the wilderness to be tempted by a period 10. So he went there with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Fue con un propósito para ser tentado. And when he had fasted 40 yamim and 40 leilot, he was hungry afterward. And when the tempter came to him, he said, "Since you are the son of Eloha, command that these stones be made lechem." But he answered and said, "It is written, man shall not live by lechem alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh."
Mm-hmm.
Then a period took him up into the Kadosh city and set him on a pinnacle of the Beit Hamikdash and said to him, "Since you are the son of Eloha, cast yourself down, for it is written, he shall give his heavenly malachim charge concerning you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, lest at any time you dash your foot against a stone." Yahusha said to him, "It is written again, you shall not test the master Yahuwah, your Eloha." Again, a period 10 took him up into an exceedingly high mountain and showed him all the Malkutim of the Olam Hazeh and the Tiferet of them, and said to him, all these things I will give you, if you will fall down and worship me and bear your head to me. Then said Yahusha to him, go, Espiride Peritan, for it is written, you shall worship Yahuwah your Eloha, and him only shall you serve. Then Espiride Peritan left him, and see, heavenly malachim came and attended to him. Now, when Yahusha had heard that Yohanan was cast into prison, he departed into Galilee. And leaving Nazareth, he came and dwelt in Capharnaum, which is upon the sea coast, in the borders of Zebulun and Naphtali, that it might be fulfilled what was spoken by Yeshayahu the Nabi, saying, the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, by the way of the sea beyond the Jordan River, Galilee of the Gentiles, the Goyim, the people who sat in darkness saw a great light. And to those who sat in the region and shadow of death, light is sprung up. From that time, Yahusha began to proclaim and to say, Teshuvah, for the Malkut HaShamayim is offered. And Yahusha, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw two brothers, Shimon Kepha and Andri, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men.
And that's exactly what we were talking about.
De esto exactamente estábamos hablando.
Yahusha said, number one, follow me, and then I will show you how to fish.
Yahusha dijo en primer lugar, síganme a mí y yo les enseñaré cómo pescar.
He didn't say, follow me and I'll make you beggars of men.
Él no dijo, síganme a mí y los haré rogadores de hombres.
Baruch Hashem Yahuwah.
Baruch Hashem Yahuwah. And we're also looking at the diet, fish.
Fish.
And they immediately left their nets and followed him. And going on from there, he saw two other brothers, Jacob, the son of
See, that's how you know if somebody is really responsive.
Así es como sabes si alguien es realmente responsable.
Immediately.
Inmediatamente.
Not, I'll get back to you.
No, después les
Call me
hablo.
back.
Llámenme después.
Let me think about
Déjenme
it.
meditar.
I'm not feeling it.
No lo siento.
No.
No.
When Yahusha says, Lech acharai,
Cuando Yahusha dijo, Lech acharai,
if our hearts are ready
si nuestros corazones están listos
to obey
a obedecer
the Torah of the Shlichim,
la Torah de los Shlichim,
we are immediately to leave our nets,
inmediatamente tenemos que dejar nuestras redes de pesca,
leave our comfort zone
dejar nuestra zona de comodidad
to follow the one that's calling us.
para seguir al que nos está llamando. Baruch Hashem Yahuwah.
We follow a call
Seguir ese llamado
immediately,
de inmediato,
like Abraham.
así como Abraham.
Any delay
En cualquier dilatación
is obedience postponed.
es obediencia pospuesta.
Obedience
Y
postponed
la obediencia pospuesta
is disobedience.
es desobediencia.
I'll say that
Lo
again.
diré de nuevo.
Obedience postponed
La obediencia pospuesta
is another nice way of saying
es otra manera amable de decir
disobedience.
desobediencia.
All that obeyed Yahuwah obeyed immediately.
Todos los que obedecieron a Yahuwah le obedecían de inmediato.
Did Jonah obey?
¿Yo
No.
obedeció Jonás? No,
because it was not immediate,
porque no fue inmediato.
and it got into trouble.
Y luego se metió en problemas.
Yeah, it's a perfect example
Es un ejemplo perfecto. And instead of
of
him
not
eating the
obeying
fish, the fish
immediately.
ate him.
Instead of him going fishing,
Y en lugar de que él fuera de pesca,
the fish went
el
fishing for
pescado se
men.
lo comió a él.
The fish found the man.
El pescado encontró a un hombre. Amén. And going from there, verse 21. And going from there, verso 21, reading Matthew 4:21, Mateo 4:21. And going on from there, he saw two other brothers, Jacob and Zabdi, and Yohanan his brother, in a ship with Zabdi their Abba, mending their nets, and he called them. And they immediately left the ship and their Abba and followed him.
Immediately.
Inmediatamente. And Yahushua went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the Besorah of the Malkut and healing all manner of sicknesses and all manner of disease among the people of Israel. And his renown went throughout all Aram Syria. And they brought to him all the sick people that were taken with diverse diseases and torments, and those who were possessed with shedim, and those who were lunatics, and those that had paralysis.
What's a lunatic?
A person that's crazy.
I thought it was lunatic.
Lunatics.
I never heard lunatics.
It's just mispronunciation of the accent. Lunaticos. And those that had paralysis, and he healed them. And there followed him great multitudes of people from Galilee and from Decapolis and from Jerusalem and from Yehuda and from beyond the Jordan River.
By the way, for our new listeners and viewers,
Y para nuestros nuevos oyentes,
what scripture are you using? Because it sounds a little different.
¿qué escritura está usted usando? Porque suena un poquito diferente.
Hold it up.
We are using the Restoration Scriptures True Name 6th edition with study notes and Hanok.
Yes, now available online
Disponible en línea,
in hardcover.
cobertura dura,
No more pages falling out.
ya no se le caen las páginas,
And also from Amazon,
y de Amazon.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.
So
lo
if
pueden
you want
encontrar en
it, if you
Amazon.
want it the next day,
Si lo quieren al próximo yo,
and you Amazon now has stock.
y Amazon ya tiene inventario,
Because enough people are ordering it that they're carrying stock.
que suficientes personas le están ordenando que ya tienen inventario.
So even though we make less money, if you want it the next day,
Así que aunque estamos ganando menos dinero, pero si lo quieren al próximo yo,
and you have Amazon Prime,
y tienen a Amazon Prime,
you'll have it at your door
la tendrán ahí en su casa,
in one day.
en un yo.
And there's nothing like the RSTNA.
Y no hay nada como las escrituras de restauración.
Not in terms of Hebraic English scripture.
No en cuestión de las escrituras hebreas.
I've seen all of them.
Las he visto a todas.
I've seen the Hallelujah.
He visto las escrituras
I've seen
Aleluya.
the scriptures.
Las escrituras.
No contest.
No hay concurso.
This is almost 6,800 study notes
Casi 6,800 notas de estudio
for your personal growth.
para su crecimiento personal.
Make sure you get your copy
Confirmen de obtener sus copias
today.
hoy.
Page 17
Página 17
in your Sidurim.
en su Sidurim.
The weekly 8th day celebration
La celebración semanal del octavo Yom,
according to the Torah of the Shlichim.
de acuerdo a la Torah de los Shlichim.
Yom Shemini.
Yom Shemi.
Behold, El is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. For Yahuwah my El is my strength and my song. He also has become my Yahusha. And with joy we shall draw forth waters from the springs, Mayim of salvation. Salvation is Yahuwah's. Upon your people be your blessing. Selah. Yahuwah Svaot is with us. A stronghold for us is the El of Yaakov. Selah. Yahuwah Svaot. Praised is the man who trusts fully in you. Yahuwah saved us, and may the King answer us on any day when we call. I will lift up the King of my salvation, and I will call on the name of Yahuwah as we celebrate the 8th day, a reminder of our future blessed, pure, eternal abode with our Creator, Savior, and King. Blessed are you, Yahuwah, our Elohim, who is the King of the entire universe, and who has given us the 8th day according to the Apostles' Torah, and the gift of eternity with you. And we give you praise for this day, the Aleph of each and every week, in the name of Yahusha, our King.
Amen.
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 Amen. Matthew,
Mateo,
chapter 28,
capítulo 28,
verse 1.
verso 1.
In the evening of the Shabbat Yom, when the 8th day of the week began to dawn, came Miriam from Magdala and the other Miriam to see the tomb. Yochanan Moshe,
Yohanan Moshe Marcos,
Mark 16,
16, 1 y 2.
1 and 2. And when the Shabbat had fully passed, Miriam from Magdala and Miriam, the mother of Yaakov and Shulamit, had bought sweet spices and may come and anoint him. And very early in the morning, on the 8th day of the week, they came to the tomb just as the Shemesh was rising. Luke 24, 1 through 3.
Lucas 24, 1 a 3.
Now on the first Yom, or the 8th day of the week, early in the morning, they came to the tomb, bringing the spices that they had prepared and certain others with them. And they found the stone rolled away from the tomb. And they entered in and found not the body of Yahusha. Yochanan, John 21 and 2.
Yohanan Juan 21 a 2.
And on the first Yom, 8th day of the week, early in the morning, as darkness became light, came Miriam from Magdala to the tomb and saw the stone taken away from the tomb. Then she ran and came to Shimon Kepha and the other Talmud, whom Yahusha loved, and said to them, They have taken away Yahusha out of the tomb, and we know not where they have laid him. 1 Corinthians Aleph, 16, 1 and 2.
Corintios 16, 1 a 2.
Now concerning the collection for the Israelite Kiddushim, as I have given orders to the Israelite congregations of Galutia, the same applies to you. After one of the Shabbats, 8th day, let every one of you lay aside and store up what Yahweh has prospered him with, so that there be no collections when I come. Now at this point, I'm going to pause. And I'm going to ask the sister Mariamni to put a link to BluePay and also to PayPal. Because now I discovered a really interesting thing. That at the bottom of our website, on the at the footer, of course, I already knew that there was a direct link to PayPal. But what I didn't realize when I went to that link, that they have it set up to choose monthly donations, as well as the amount. So rather than having to enter in the amount every week, you can have your PayPal account deducted on a regular, recurring basis. It's a weekly, monthly. So if the sister Mariamni goes to the bottom of the Yadi website, in the footer, just copy that link and paste it in the comments. And along with the Lions Club. So there are those who maybe they weren't listening on Shabbat.
Así que hay aquellos que quizás no estaban escuchando en el Shabbat.
Or maybe they were doing something else.
O quizás estaban haciendo alguna otra cosa.
So it says here that after Shabbat,
que dice aquí que después del Shabbat,
let those so dispose,
que aquellos que así dispongan,
lay aside or put aside,
pongan al lado,
and store up for Yahuwah's storehouse
que guarden para la casa de
so
Yahuwah,
that the good news can go forward.
para que las alegres nuevas puedan avanzar.
10% of what Yahuwah, or the tithe of what Yahuwah has prospered him.
10% de lo que
Yes.
Yahuwah le ha incrementado.
So there'll be no collections
Para que no hayan colecciones
when I come.
cuando yo venga.
So please, let's obey the word of Yahuwah in 1 Corinthians 16.
Así que por favor obedezcamos la palabra de Yahuwah en 1 de Corintios 16.
And we'll take just a moment. We'll pause. We won't ask the choir to come in. We'll just go slow and take a moment, and we'll thank every single one of you
Y nos
who
tomaremos
will honor the 8th day and the work that Yahuwah is doing to give your tithes and your offerings, and we'll look for it. We really will, and we'll contact you with a personal thank you letter.
y nos tomaremos una breve pausa y cuando recibamos sus donativos les contestaremos con una letra personal. Baruch Hashem Yahuwah por
Baruch Hashem.
su obediencia.
So just take a moment and complete that transaction.
Tómense un momento para completar esa transacción. The brother Charles Chaim is asking if we have the book of Yashar in the 6th edition. Brother, we do not. We do not have the book of Yashar. It's only the book of Chanukh. And I think Annette answered it. Okay.
But we do have Yashar in a handsome volume.
Tenemos el libro de Yashar en un volumen muy lindo.
Large print.
En grande, con letra grande.
In our last printing, you notice the print is much larger.
Yes, it is. It is much larger.
So we do have it in stock. You can order it as an individual book.
Mm-hmm.
And it does have a few footnotes as well. Study notes. Not too many, but it has a few.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll get to some questions later. I think we might have time at the end for what I'm going to do on every Yom Shmini.
Lo que voy a hacer en cada Yom Shmini, cada octavo Yom de la semana.
Just try to leave a few minutes at the end
Voy a dejar unos cuantos minutos al final
to take questions.
para tomar sus preguntas.
Mariamne, would you please focus the camera on yourself again? And we're going to ask, thank you for your tithes and your offerings. And if you responded, we'll look for it.
Ofrendas.
We thank you so
much. Si respondieron, lo vamos a buscar.
We sincerely and we wholeheartedly appreciate it.
Lo apreciamos de todo corazón.
Please read for us another witness.
Por favor, léanos otro testigo
of the Shlichim's Torah.
De la Torah de los Shlichim.
Given to us by the Levite.
Dado a nosotros por el levita.
Barnabas.
The
Jewish Sholiach.
El Sholiach Yahudi.
And let's see what he says about celebrating the 8th day.
Y veamos lo que él dice acerca de celebrar el octavo Yom. Reading from Barnabas, chapter 15, leyendo de Barnabé, capítulo 15.
And we also do have the book of Barnabas.
Igual tenemos el libro de Barnabas disponible.
In English and Spanish.
En inglés y en el español, if you would like it. Chapter 15, verse 1, 15:1. And moreover, concerning the Shabbat, it is written in the 10 Commandments in which he spoke on Har Sinai unto Moshe face to face. Set apart the Shabbat of Yahuwah with pure hands and a pure heart. And in another place he said, if my sons shall keep my Shabbat, then I will place my rachamim, compassion upon them. He speaks too of the Shabbat in the beginning of the creation. And Elohim made in 6 yamim the works of his hands and finished them on the 7th yom and rested on it and set it apart. Consider, my children, what significance have these words. He finished them in 6 yamim. They mean this, that in 6,000 years Yahuwah will make an end of all things. For Yom is with him is as 1,000 years. And he himself bears witness unto me, saying, behold, this Yom, a Yom shall be as 1,000 years. Therefore, my children, in 6 yamim, that is in 6,000 years, shall all things be brought to an end. And the words he rested on the 7th yom have this significance. After that, his son has come and has caused to cease the time of the wicked one, and has judged the unrighteous, and renewed the sun and the moon and the stars. Then he shall rest well on the 7th yom.
So in other words, Yahuwah has not rested
Así que en otras palabras, Yahuwah no ha descansado
since yesterday,
desde ayer,
since the first Shabbat.
desde el primer Shabbat.
So the fourth day of Aviv,
Así que el cuarto Yom de Aviv,
which is the first Shabbat every
que
year,
es el primer Shabbat cada año,
okay, that's the creation Shabbat
ese es el Shabbat de la creación,
in which he rested.
en el que él descansó.
But because the times of man have fallen under the authority as they were stolen,
Pero por cuanto los tiempos del hombre han caído bajo la autoridad, ya que fueron robados
by S period, A period, tan,
por ese punto a punto tan,
Yahuwah refuses
Yahuwah se rehúsa
to rest well.
descansar todo.
See, look at verse 5.
Ven el verso 5.
See that?
Ven eso.
He was waiting for he himself
Porque él mismo
to renew the sun, moon, and stars.
está esperando renovar el Shem, el sol, la luna y las Kokabim.
When all that is
Y
completed,
cuando todo eso haya sido completado,
then he will rest
entonces sí descansará
on another Shabbat.
en otro Shabbat.
But right now,
Pero en este momento
he's working to fix men
está trabajando para arreglar a los
and
hombres
to fix the earth
y arreglar la tierra,
that's in bad shape,
que está en mal
in
forma,
case you hadn't noticed.
en caso de que no haya notado.
Then when it's finally repaired,
Y por fin cuando haya sido reparado,
in Hebrew we call that tikkun ha'olam.
y en el hebreo llamamos eso tikkun ha'olam,
When the tikkun ha'olam is completed,
cuando el tikkun ha'olam haya sido completo,
he will take his
finalizado,
second Shabbat.
se tomará su segundo
So
Shabbat.
just like there are two Adams,
Y así como existen dos Adams,
Yahuwah rests on two Shabbats.
Yahuwah descansa en dos Shabbats.
The first
El primero
and the coming Shabbat
y el Shabbat venidero,
on the seventh day
en el séptimo yom,
in the millennial kingdom,
en el reino milenial,
when all things are repaired.
cuando todas las cosas hayan sido
That's why
reparadas.
Yahusha didn't contradict the Torah,
Y es por eso que Yahusha no contradijo Torah,
because he said, my father has been working all this time. I am like him. I must also work.
porque dijo, mi Abba ha estado trabajando todo este tiempo, yo soy como él, yo igual,
And
tengo que
and Yahusha
trabajar.
showed us.
Y Yahusha nos
He
enseñó,
looked for sheep.
él buscó ovejas,
He opened blind eyes.
abría los ojos ciegos,
He walked from city to city,
caminaba de ciudad a ciudad,
looking for the lost sheep.
buscando a las ovejas perdidas.
He was working.
Él estaba
He
trabajando.
never denied it.
Él nunca lo negó.
Yahusha never denied that he was working.
Yahusha nunca negó que él estaba
But
trabajando.
then he told you why.
Pero luego les dijo por qué.
Because Abba hasn't had a Shabbat
Porque Abba no ha tenido un Shabbat
since the first week.
desde la primera semana.
So why do we have all these
¿Y
Shabbats?
por qué entonces tenemos todos estos Shabbats?
For us,
Para nosotros,
to slow us down,
para causarnos que hagamos las cosas más lentas.
so we don't burn out and fade away.
Para que no nos desgastemos y
Hey,
nos
hey,
cansemos de
my,
manera
my.
extrema.
Like Neil Young used to say.
Como decía Neil
It's
Young,
better to burn out than fade away. So Yahweh doesn't want us to burn out or fade away. And Neil Young's an idiot. I mean, he knows how to sing, but scripturally, he's an idiot.
dice,
Yahweh's a genius. He
Que
slows
Neil
us
Young-
down and he gives us Shabbats that he or Yeshua didn't keep. Think about that one while you have your eggs.
dice Shelia que Neil Young es un
Hey, hey.
entrenador toe, cantante toe,
My,
pero que es un
my.
tonto porque
Rock and roll will never die.
dice que es mejor
Yes, it will.
quemarse uno de tanto trabajo, de tanta labor, de tanto cansancio, pero Yahuwah no piensa así. Yahuwah quiere que descansemos, que nos relajemos, que tengamos un reposo.
Hey, man, even Jerry Garcia had enough brain left. We didn't blow his brains out with acid and heroin.
Aún Jerry García no se quemó el cerebro tanto con heroína y con ácido.
Of the Grateful Dead.
De los Grateful Dead,
Sí.
los muertos complacidos
To say-
o
to say-
agradecidos.
To say that, they say, oh, some people say you're the Messiah.
Para decir, alguna gente dice que usted es el Mesías.
He said, no thanks.
Pero no,
He says, I
no
don't
soy
I don't
el
want the
Mesías.
nails or the cross.
Yo no quiero los clavos ni la cruz, dijo. He said that.
even-
I don't want the nails or the cross.
Even being brain dead, he realized that was a painful death.
Aún siendo él de un cerebro ya desgastado por las drogas, sabía que será una muerte muy dolorosa.
He had enough sense to admit that he wasn't Mashiach,
Tuvo suficiente sentido para admitir que él no era el
even though
Mashiach,
the deadheads saw him as that.
aunque los seguidores de su grupo lo veían como tal.
Verse 6.
Verso 6. Barnabé 15, verse 6. Barnabé 15, 6. And further he said, you shall set it apart with pure hands and a pure lead. Who therefore can set apart the yom that Yahuwah has set apart, unless he is pure of lead? In all things we have been deceived. Behold that, then indeed we shall be able to rest well and set it apart, even when we ourselves, having been justified and having received the promise, the kingdom on earth, when iniquity exists no longer, but all things have been made new by Yahuwah, we shall then be able to set it apart, having been first been set apart ourselves. And furthermore, he said unto them, your new moons, not biblical, and your Shabbats that are not biblical, I cannot endure. See now what he means. The Shabbat, which are man's time, that now are not acceptable unto me. But that which I have made is, even that in which, after that I have brought all things to an end, I shall make a beginning of the eighth yom, which thing is the beginning, the mark of another world, the Olam Haba.
See, remember I told a mark?
Ven, esto es una marca,
So this-
un símbolo.
This day is a mark
Este yom es una marca
of redeemed Israel,
del Israel redimido. No todo el mundo lo observa.
who will inherit the Olam Haba.
Solo los que van a heredar el Olam Haba, el mundo que está por venir.
So the observance of the Shlichim's Torah
Así que los que observan la instrucción de los Shlihim
vis-a-vis the eighth day
a través del octavo yom
is a cardinal principle doctrine
es una doctrina principal
of the Brit Chadashah,
de Brit Hadashah,
of the renewed covenant.
del convenio renovado.
You can poo-poo this all you want.
Esto lo puedes despreciar todo lo que
You
quieras,
can ignore it
lo puedes ignorar,
all you want.
todo lo que quieras,
But it is a principle
pero es un principio
and a mark
y es una
of
marca
who we are
de quiénes somos nosotros
and where we're headed.
y a dónde vamos.
See what I mean? And it follows Shabbat.
Y sigue al Shabbat.
So you should already be in the Shabbat spirit,
Así que deberían de ya estar en la Ruach de Shabbat.
and you already be in the Shabbat Ruach.
Estar en la Ruach de Shabbat.
So you don't have to wait 4 or 5 days to get back in the Shabbat Ruach.
No tienes que esperar 4, 5, 6 yamim para regresar a la Ruach de
So
Shabbat.
1 and 8 are tied together.
El 1 y el 8 están conectados.
Aleph Tav.
Aleph Tav.
And there's no hyphen
Y no hay línea de conexión
between days 1 and 8.
entre los yamim 1 y 8.
Okay, top of 18.
Wherefore we keep the eighth yom as the yom of gladness, on which Yahusha was discovered risen from the dead.
See,
after
discovered,
which
not
then-
risen. He rose on the Shabbat,
18th.
the Shabbat of life, the 18th.
Él resucitó el 18 a la finalización del Shabbat,
But the 19th,
pero en el 19 fue que
the 8th day,
en el octavo yom
he was discovered.
él fue
He had
descubierto.
already risen,
Él ya se había levantado, ya había resucitado,
but on the 8th day he was discovered,
pero en el octavo yom fue descubierto
missing.
que ya no estaba en la tumba.
Okay.
He was discovered risen from the dead, and after which he had appeared ascended to the Shemayim.
Baruch Hashem Yahuwah.
Baruch Hashem Yahuwah.
Camera, please. The Aaronic benediction, where we're going to place Yahuwah's name upon all those who are redeemed Israel.
La braca de ajarónicas a través de la cual vamos a poner el nombre de Yahuwah sobre todo el Israel redimido.
And ask Abba for a Tov, prosperous year,
Y pedirle a Abba un todo año de triunfo, de
and
crecimiento
a Tov, prosperous, healthy week.
y una semana Tov de triunfo y de crecimiento.
that this week and then and the rest of this Torah year
Que esta semana y el resto de este año de Torah
would find us
nos encuentre
doing His will.
haciendo su obra.
May this be the week and the year when we begin to change our steps.
Que esta sea la semana y el año cuando comenzamos a cambiar nuestros pasos
And do His will.
y hacer su voluntad.
Yiberechecha Yahuwah ve'yishmerecha. Yareh Yahuwah panav elecha v'yichunecha. Yisa Yahuwah panav elecha ve'yasem lecha Shalom B'Shem Yahusha Mashiach Sar Shalom Amen. May Yahuwah bless you and keep you,
Y
Israel.
Yahuwah te dé braca y te guarde, Israel.
May Yahuwah make His face shine upon you and give you extra grace,
Que Yahuwah
Israel.
haga resplandecer su rostro sobre ti y te dé favor adicional, Israel.
May Yahuwah lift up His faces upon
Que
you.
Yahuwah levante sus rostros sobre ti
In the name of the Sar Shalom,
en el nombre del Sar Shalom.
may He give you
Que
peace.
te dé Shalom.
And all the people said,
Y todo el pueblo dijo,
B'Shem Yahusha
en el
HaMashiach,
nombre de Yahushua nuestro Mashiach.
Amen,
Amén
ve'amen.
y amén.
We are going to just briefly share some things in the Word.
Vamos a compartir brevemente algunas cosas en la palabra.
We kind of covered it a little bit before,
Ya lo cubrimos anteriormente un poquito,
but it is necessary
pero es necesario
to go over some of these things.
repasar algunas de estas cosas.
I'm also, if you remember a few weeks ago,
Igual, si se acuerdan, hace unas cuantas semanas atrás,
we were talking about that message that we never finished.
estábamos hablando de ese mensaje que no acabamos.
Are you sure
¿Estás cierto
you want to live
que quieres vivir
an Israelite lifestyle?
una manera de vivir israelita?
Are you sure
¿Tienes la certeza?
you want better count the cost
Más vale que cuentes del costo
that you want to live an Israelite
si
lifestyle?
quieres vivir una vida israelita.
So what I'm going to do is
Así que lo que voy a hacer es esto.
I'm going to share a few thoughts with you,
Voy a compartir unos cuantos pensamientos con ustedes.
do a couple of things
Hacer un par de cosas
from the Ten Commandments
de los 10 mandamientos
toward that message,
hacia ese mensaje.
and then be led by the Ruach.
Y luego ser guiado por la Rúa.
And then now, if you have questions,
Y ya si tienen preguntas,
okay, we're going to try to leave a small amount of time
vamos a intentar dejar un poquito de tiempo
every eighth day
cada octavollón
to address your scriptural questions.
para contestar sus preguntas
So,
escriturales.
Don't ask me questions like, is Jurassic Park real?
No me pregunten cosas tales como si el parque jurásico es real.
Or how tall is Big Ben
O qué tan grande es Big Ben
in London?
en Londres.
I'm not going to answer your question.
No voy a responder esas preguntas.
We're looking for serious questions
Estamos buscando preguntas serias
from Scripture.
acerca de la
So
escritura.
I'm going to ask you to think about it
Así que les voy a pedir que las mediten
and then wait till I give you the green light.
y que se esperen hasta que les dé la luz verde.
And we'll be doing this every week.
Y esto lo estaremos haciendo toda semana.
Number one, so that we could interact with you.
Primero, para que podamos interactuar con ustedes.
Less formal than Shabbat.
Menos formal que el
On
Shabbat.
Shabbat, we're not taking any
En
questions
Shabbat no tomamos preguntas
because we're focused on a formal
porque
service.
estamos enfocados en un servicio formal.
But we will do that on the eighth day.
Pero sí lo haremos el octavollón.
What is interesting
Lo que es interesante,
is most interesting
muy interesante,
is how the Talmudim
es como los Talmidim
understood
comprendieron
that it was required by
que
Yahusha
se requería por Yahusha
for them to celebrate the eighth day.
que ellos celebraran el octavollón.
What I find interesting
Lo que encuentro interesante
is that immediately
Es que inmediatamente,
after his resurrection,
después de su resurrección,
they began to meet on the 8th day.
comenzaron reuniéndose en el octavo yom.
We were talking earlier,
Estábamos hablando anteriormente.
sometimes it takes time for the shlichim's instruction
A veces se toma tiempo para las instrucciones de los shlichim,
to go out.
que vayan afuera.
And yet I find it
Y
interesting
sin embargo lo encuentro interesante
that the very first Yom Shmini,
que el primerito Yom Shemini
they were already gathered.
ya estaban reunidos.
The day that they found he was discovered missing.
El yom que fue encontrado que ya no estaba en la tumba.
Yes, remember, the
¿Se
women
acuerdan?
came to the tomb.
Las mujeres llegaron a la tumba.
They went back to tell the Talmidim
Regresaron a decirles a los Talmidim
that the master had risen.
que el soberano ya había resucitado.
But you remember they were already gathered.
Pero se acuerdan que ellos ya estaban reunidos.
Now what's interesting is two things.
Y lo que es interesante es dos cosas.
It's possible that they were already gathered.
Es posible que ya se estaban reuniendo con Yahusha,
Okay, because they were in fear
porque estaban con temor
of the Yehudim.
de los Yahudim.
Okay, that could have been the primary motive.
Eso pudo haber sido el motivo principal.
Okay, they were hiding and they were gathered in fear of the Yehudim,
Estaban escondidos y tenían temor de los Yahudim.
the unbelieving Yehudim.
Los Yahudim que no creían en Yahusha.
But as you intimated, perhaps
Pero como usted acaba de intimidar, quizás
a second reason
una segunda razón
is Yahusha in his lifetime
es que Yahusha durante su vida
had begun to prepare them
ya había comenzado a prepararles
to celebrate what he knew was his resurrection.
a celebrar lo que él sabía era su
Because
resurrección.
remember,
Porque acuérdese.
he said after 3 days
Él dijo después de 3 yamim
or on the 3rd day.
o en el tercer yom.
Now think about that.
Medite eso.
I want you to think. People say there are some scriptures where Yahusha said on the 3rd day.
Hay unas escrituras donde Yahusha dijo en el tercer yom.
And then there are other scriptures where Yahusha said he would rise after 3 days.
Y luego hay otras escrituras donde Yahusha dijo que se levantaría después de 3 yamim.
That makes no sense.
Eso no es entendible.
Because on the 3rd day is day 3.
Porque en el tercer yom es el yom 3.
After 3
Y
days
después de 3 días
is day 4.
es el cuarto.
That makes no sense.
Eso no es entendible. Penautas.
But I believe now it begins to make sense.
Pero que ya, creo que ya comienza, and it's another confirming 4.
Another
ya
confirming
comienza
4.
a ser entendible y es otro 4 confirmador.
On day 3
En el tercer yom
would be the Shabbat of life.
sería el Shabbat de la Chaim, Resurrection.
So on the 3rd day,
Así que en el tercer yom,
at the end of Aviv 18,
al fin de Aviv, en la conclusión del Aviv 18,
the master would rise.
se levantaría el soberano.
But it wouldn't be until after 3
Pero
days,
no sería hasta después de 3 yamim.
on the 4th day,
En el cuarto,
since the 15th,
desde el 15,
like you said,
como dijo usted,
another confirming 4,
otro 4 confirmador.
where he was discovered missing.
Cuando él fue descubierto que no estaba en la tumba.
So he's basically saying,
Así que básicamente está diciendo,
I will rise on Shabbos
yo me levantaré en el Shabbat,
on the 3rd day.
en el tercer yom, y
P.S.
postdata.
After 3
Y
days,
después de 3 yamim,
you'll discover
ustedes descubrirán
what happened
lo que pasó
on the 3rd day.
en el tercero.
So now there's no contradiction.
Así que ya no hay contradicción.
No contradiction.
No hay contradicción.
So we have another reason
Así que tenemos otra razón
to celebrate
para celebrar
Shabbat,
el Shabbat,
the day of the actual
el yom
resurrection,
de la resurrección
and the
actual
day of discovery.
y el yom de la descubrimiento.
And because he was preparing the
Y
Talmidim,
a causa de que él estaba preparando a los
it
Talmidim,
is quite possible
es muy posible que
that they had begun to meet not only on Shabbat,
ya habían comenzado a reunirse no solamente en el
because
Shabbat,
he was preparing them,
porque él los estaba
right?
preparando.
He was preparing them
Él les estaba preparando
for being discovered,
para ser descubierto,
risen from the dead.
levantado de entre los muertos.
So it would stand to reason
Así que se sostendría la razón
that part of that preparation
que parte de esa preparación
is to meet with them.
es reunirse con
As a
ellos.
matter of fact,
Y es más,
they were already meeting.
ellos ya se estaban reuniendo.
Is that correct?
¿Es cierto eso?
When he walked through the door
Cuando él caminaba entre las paredes.
and said, Shalom Aleichem.
Yeah, they were gathered.
Let me see. I
And
believe
the guys on the Emmaus Road were heading to a gathering. ya estaban reunidos y los hombres en el camino de Emmaus estaban dirigidos a una reunión.
Excellent. They were already gathered. Let's see what we can find out.
Ya estaban reunidos.
Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem Yahuwah. Acts.
Yahuwah. Let's see what we can find out. Okay, now if you look in Yahuchanan chapter 20,
Si vamos al libro de Yahuchanan, capítulo 20,
the women meet Yahusha.
las mujeres se encuentran con Yahushua,
He appears to them.
se les aparece,
They find the tomb missing.
encuentran que él ya había desaparecido de la tumba.
And then in Yahuchanan 20 and
Y
17,
luego en Yahuchanan 20, 17,
Yahusha says,
Yahushua dice,
do not defile me, do not touch me, I have not yet ascended into the priesthood, into the sanctuary above.
no me toques porque aún no he subido a mi Abba al lugar apartado arriba, al templo de él.
But go to my Israelite brothers
Pero ve a mis ajim, mis fraternos israelitas,
and say to them,
y diles,
I ascend to my Abba and your Abba,
subo a mi Abba y a su Abba,
my Eloha and your
a
Eloha.
mi Eloha y a su Eloha.
Miriam from Magdala came and told the Talmidim who were already gathered, look,
Miriam Migdalá fue a
Sí.
dar a los Talmidim las nuevas de que había visto al soberano. Ellos ya estaban reunidos.
they weren't depressed and isolated.
No estaban deprimidos y aislados.
They were confused,
No estaban deprimidos ni aislados, estaban confundidos,
but they were together.
pero estaban reunidos.
See, the Talmidim were told that they had seen Yahusha
Ven, a los Talmidim se les dijo que ellas habían visto a Yahushua
and that he had spoken these things to her.
y que él les había hablado estas cosas.
And here's what I don't want you to miss.
Y esto es lo que no quiero que se
I want everyone paying attention.
Quiero que todos pongan atención.
Okay, and then I think after I finish, I'm going to get to your questions.
Y creo que después de acabar voy a proceder con sus preguntas.
Next week, I'm going to continue on the do you really want to live an Israelite lifestyle? I'm going to get right into that next week.
La próxima semana voy a entrar directamente en el tema, en la enseñanza. ¿Realmente quieres vivir un estilo de vida israelita?
That'll be part 2.
Esa será la segunda parte.
So look at Yehuchanan 20:19.
Veamos Yahuchanan 20:19.
The same yom of the discovery.
El mismo yom del descubrimiento.
After 3 days and 3 nights.
Después de 3 yamim días y 3 leilot noches.
The same yom
En ese mismo yom.
at evening.
En la tarde.
Now that tells us that the evening is part of the same yom, not the next day.
Eso aquí nos indica otro ejemplo más.
All you
La
who start
tarde.
Shabbos on Friday night, you listen to me real good now.
Esto indica que la tarde es de ese mismo yom, le pertenece al yom de ese amanecer, no es el inicio de un nuevo yom. Y escuchen todos los que inician el Shabbat en las leilot, en las noches.
When the Marys had discovered him,
Cuando las Marías lo habían descubierto,
it was the same day
fue ese mismo día yom,
in the evening.
en la tarde.
That means the evening is the same day he was discovered.
Eso quiere decir que la Laila es la misma, es la porción de oscuridad del yom, del día en que él fue
So
descubierto.
I want to encourage you to stop
Así que les quiero animar a que paren.
celebrating Friday night.
Paren de celebrar el viernes por la tarde.
It's a prep yom.
Es un yom, un yom de preparación.
Shabbat starts at sunrise.
El Shabbat comienza al amanecer próximo.
Can that be any clearer?
¿Puede eso ser aún más claro?
I don't think I can make that any clearer.
No creo que esto pueda ser más
Instead of
claro.
wasting your time arguing on the internet,
En lugar de desperdiciar su tiempo discutiendo en el internet,
I don't think we could make that any
no
clearer.
creo que esto se pueda aclarar más. Llegó la Laila a la noche de aquel mismo día, el primero de la semana.
The same yom in the evening,
El mismo yom en la tarde.
still being the 8th day.
Todavía siendo el octavo
Look at that.
día, primero de la
It
semana.
was still Yom Echad.
Era Yom Echad.
It was still the 8th day.
Seguía siendo el octavo yom.
When the doors were shut,
Cuando se cerraron las entradas, las puertas.
where the Talmidim were having a assembly.
En el lugar donde los
You don't want to miss that.
estaban reunidos, tenían una asamblea. Y esto no te lo quieres perder.
Teaching us this stuff. You want me to get? Are you telling
Me
me
estás diciendo
You want me to start going to church
que quiere que yo comience a ir a la iglesia
on Sunday?
el domingo.
Is that what I'm telling you?
¿Es eso lo que te estoy diciendo?
Is that what I'm telling you?
¿Es eso lo que les estoy diciendo?
This has nothing to do with church
Esto no tiene nada que ver con la iglesia
or Sunday services.
o los servicios dominicales.
There was a Yom Rishon way before there was a Sunday.
Había un Yom Rishon antes de que existiera un domingo.
There was a Yahusha way before there was a Pope.
Hubo un Yahusha antes de que existiera un papa.
Papa. Papitas. What are those little potatoes called?
Papitas.
I knew it. Little popes. I'm never eating potatoes
Ya
again.
no voy a comer papas más.
I am never eating potatoes again.
Yes, you are.
I'm not going to eat little popes.
Papitas.
I am, don't tell me that. I'm not going to eat little popes. Papitas. So the Talmidim were already assembled.
Entonces los talmidim ya estaban reunidos.
I'm going to say that again so you don't miss it.
Para que no se lo pierdan.
The Talmidim were already
Los
assembled.
talmidim ya estaban reunidos.
And they were not going to church.
Y no estaban yendo a la iglesia.
They were not going to
No
church.
iban a la iglesia.
So what's your excuse?
Entonces, ¿cuál es tu excusa?
Apparently, Yahusha had prepared them not only for his death, burial, and resurrection,
Aparentemente Yahusha no solamente los había preparado para su muerte, su sepultura y su resurrección,
he had prepared them to assemble
pero los había preparado para que se reunieran
on Yom Shmini.
en Yom Shemini.
So I'm assuming he did it with them,
Así que estoy asumiendo que él lo hacía con ellos,
teaching them the world to come.
enseñándoles el mundo que estaba por venir.
Probably even before he rose from the dead.
Quizás aún antes de que él resucitara de entre los muertos.
On every eighth day,
En cada octavo yom,
he would gather his Talmidim
él reunía a sus talmidim
and teach them
y
eschatology.
les enseñaba la escatología.
See, on Shabbat,
Ven, en el Shabbat,
Yahusha would do the work of the Father
Yahusha hacía la obra del Abba
and teach his Talmidim Torah.
y les enseñaba Torah a sus talmidim.
Pero
But
on Yom Shmini,
en Yom Shmini,
he would teach them things,
él les enseñaba cosas,
eschatology,
escatología,
about the world to come.
acerca del mundo que estaba por venir.
The root of the word Shemini,
La raíz de la palabra Shemini
or the eighth day,
o el octavo yom
is the word Shemen,
es la palabra Shemen,
the anointing
la unción,
oil.
aceite,
Shemen,
Shemen,
Yom Shemini,
Yom Shemini,
the oil of gladness, the oil of authority,
el aceite de la
the oil of
autoridad,
power,
el aceite del
the
poder,
oil of inheritance,
el aceite de la herencia,
the oil of separation
el aceite de la separación,
that is yours,
anointing, el aceite de la unción que es tuyo,
that belongs to the child of Yah.
que le pertenece al hijo de Yahuwah.
So, see, the Ruach's giving me all this now, and I didn't think about this. There are no notes here.
Ven, la Ruach me está dando todo esto en este momento.
These
Esto
are the
no lo
notes right
medité. Yo no desarrollé notas. Estas son mis notas.
Ha ha, ki, like they say in some of these countries. I get these letters, like KKK, and I go, is this the Ku Klux Klan, right? And then I found out the Hispanics, the elevator doesn't go all the way up sometimes.
It's a different culture.
And it's a different culture. I'm thinking like they're telling me they're in the KKK.
No.
That means laugh, right? That means laughter.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, so the Hispanics drove me Michigan.
Los hispanos
So I was
me
getting all these.
que toda esta gente me escribe con
And I didn't know that Hispanics were in the Ku Klux Klan.
y yo no sabía que los hispanos
I thought they were the victims
El
of
Ku
the
Klux
Ku Klux
Klan.
Klan.
Pensé que eran las víctimas del Ku Klux Klan.
Anyway,
No,
so I learned.
culture.
No, I learned. Okay,
ya aprendí.
so
Julia.
the root word of Yom Shemini,
Así que la palabra raíz de Yom Shemini
Shemen,
es Shemen,
the oil.
el aceite.
So he taught them the oil of the Olam Haba and the gladness and the reward.
Así que él les enseñó el
Listen.
aceite de la alegría, del Olam Haba, el mundo que está por venir,
On the day Aleph,
en el Yom Aleph, primero,
pero on Yom Ocho,
but en el octavo Yom,
on
en
Yom Shabbat,
el Yom Shabbat, perdón,
They read the parsha
leían la parashá
and they learned Torah.
y aprendían Torah.
See that?
¿Ven eso?
That's why a true household
Y es por eso que una
Farmer.
casa real, un agricultor,
brings out of his treasures,
trae de sus tesoros,
Yahusha said,
dijo Yahusha,
things old,
cosas del pasado, viejas,
Torah,
antiguas,
and on
Torah,
the eighth day,
y en el octavo yom,
things new.
cosas nuevas,
So here's the way
el futuro.
Yahusha structured his ministry.
Así que así es como Yahusha estructuró su
And
ministerio.
this is for all the Hebraic roots people
Y esto es para todas las personas de las raíces
who need to
hebreas
add the eighth day to their
que
repertoire.
necesitan agregar el octavo yom a su repertorio.
And it's for all the church people
Y es para todas las personas de la iglesia
who need to add the Shabbat
que necesitan agregar el
to
Shabbat
their repertoire.
a su repertorio.
On Shabbos,
En el Shabbat,
Moshiach Totoiri.
Mashiach enseñó Torah.
On the day of oil,
En el yom del aceite Shmini,
the first fruit of every week,
la primicia de toda semana,
he taught things to come,
él enseñaba cosas que estaban por venir,
new things.
cosas nuevas.
You see that?
¿Ven eso?
I'm positive.
Estoy
I'm
positivo
100%
al
positive.
100%.
So they were used to
Así que estaban acostumbrados
being in assembly
a estar en asamblea.
because while the master was still ministering,
Porque mientras el maestro seguía ministrando,
he taught us to assemble.
él nos enseñó a asamblearnos.
But they were assembled
Pero se reunían
on this particular eighth
en
day
este octavo yom en particular,
in the evening.
en la tarde.
This is the same day of the discovery.
Este es el mismo yom del descubrimiento.
They were assembled, but this time they were not happy, they were in fear.
Estaban reunidos y este momento no estaban alegres, estaban con temor.
But the point is they were already assembled.
Pero el punto es que ya estaban reunidos.
That's the point.
Ese es el enfoque.
Fear tends to make you run.
El temor tiende a causarte huir.
If fear was the reason for this
Si
assembly,
el temor fuera la razón de esta asamblea,
they would not have gathered together.
no se hubieran reunido.
Because when you're afraid,
Porque cuando tú tienes temor,
you run away.
tú huyes.
But notice how they gathered.
Pero noten cómo se reunieron.
But they gathered in fear
Se reunieron con temor
of the unbelieving
de
Yehudi.
los Yahudim incrédulos.
Yahusha came as he had every single Yom Shmini.
Yahusha vino como lo había
Sí.
hecho cada Yom Shmini
And he began to teach them.
y comenzó a enseñarles.
And he stood in their midst,
Y estuvo entre ellos,
having been resurrected,
habiendo resucitado.
and said, Shalom Aleichem.
Y les dijo, Shalom Aleichem.
And he began to, verse 20, show them his hands and his
Y
side.
en el verso 20 comenzó a enseñarles sus manos, su costado.
And then it says elsewhere that they were glad.
Y luego dice aquí que se regocijaron,
Then they were glad.
se alegraron.
It says elsewhere.
Dice en otra parte, esa here too.
I'm sorry, verse 20.
En el verso 20.
When he had said this,
Y cuando él les hubo dicho esto,
Shalom Aleichem,
Shalom
he
Aleichem,
began that to appear to them as he had every eighth day by beginning the eschatological study. Shalom Aleichem, brothers. Today we're going to learn, or today we're going to study. Shalom Aleichem, come on in.
les dijo,
Shalom Aleichem, come on
Hoy
in.
vamos a aprender, hoy vamos a escudriñar. Shalom Aleichem, entren.
This time he's saying, Shalom
Y
Aleichem.
esta vez les está diciendo, Shalom Aleichem.
I'm going to come in.
Yo voy a entrar.
See?
¿Ven?
Now it's my turn to come in
Este es mi turno de entrar.
and join your group.
Y unirme a su grupo.
He showed them his hands and his side,
Enseñó sus manos, su costado,
that he was dead,
que estaba muerto.
but everything he had taught them on that day,
Pero todo lo que él les había enseñado en ese
on the
día,
eighth day,
en el octavo,
had come to pass.
se había ya
The end,
manifestado.
the end of verse 20.
Al fin del verso 20.
So when the Talmudim saw him as they had on every eighth day,
Entonces cuando los Talmidim lo vieron como lo habían visto en todo Yom
that he
Octavo,
didn't miss a meeting,
que no se perdió ni
even
una
though he was
reunión,
dead,
aunque estaba muerto,
even though he died on Yom
aunque
Revi'i,
murió en el Yom Revi'i,
and 4 days later rose on Yom
y
Shabbat,
4 Yom después se levantó en el Yom Shabbat.
if we use the day of discovery as
Si
well.
usamos el Yom de descubrimiento de igual
On the
manera,
third day and after the third
en
day.
el tercer Yom y después del tercero,
Rise on the third
se
day,
levantó, resucitó en el tercero,
allow himself to be discovered on the fourth
se
day,
permitió ser descubierto en el cuarto Yom,
after 3 days.
después de 3 días, Yamim.
Then,
Y entonces,
on that very 8th day assembly, when he walked into that group,
En esa misma asamblea del octavo yom, cuando llegó y entró a ese grupo,
the Talmidim began to have the Gilah.
los Talmidim comenzaron a regocijarse, a tener la Gilá.
When they saw Yahusha,
Cuando vieron a Yahusha,
where he had always been before,
en donde siempre había estado
with
anteriormente,
them
con ellos,
on the 8th day.
en el octavo yom.
So he was with them on Shabbos,
Así que él estaba con ellos el Shabbat,
reading the Torah Parsha.
leyendo la porción de Torah.
Don't we see that in Luke chapter 4?
Y que no vemos eso en Lucas capítulo 4.
When he gets up in the synagogue and reads the Parsha.
Cuando se levanta en la sinagoga y lee la parashá.
So what was Yahusha teaching on Shabbat?
Así que, ¿qué estaba enseñando Yahusha en los Shabbats?
The trilineal Torah Parsha.
La parashá de Torah trilineal.
Because in the days of Yahusha, they read the Torah every 3 years.
Porque en los tiempos de Yahusha se leía la Torah cada 3 años.
They didn't rush.
Completo. No corrían, la leían totalmente.
And then when he gathered his shlichim on Yom Shmini,
Cuando se reunía con sus shlichim en Yom Shemini,
he said, Shalom Aleichem,
les dijo, Shalom Aleichem.
let's open in prayer.
Abramos la reunión en oración.
So this is the same thing.
Esta es la misma cosa.
The only thing missing at this meeting
Lo único que faltaba en esta reunión
was Yahusha.
era
That was the
Yahusha.
only thing missing.
Era lo único que faltaba.
So they didn't, how many 8 days did they miss?
Así que ¿cuántos octavos Yamim se perdieron?
Even though he had died?
Aunque él había muerto.
0.
0.
Think about that.
Medítenlo. Para
So
que se me
let's
acuerde.
not take this lightly.
Así que no despreciemos eso.
I know you do laundry. I know you visit your cousin. I know you go out for pizza on Sunday. I got all that.
Yo sé que hacen su lavandería, que comen pizza, que van a visitar a su prima en los domingos. Yo lo entiendo todo eso.
But give the master
Pero comienza a darle al soberano, a tu amo,
the first 2 hours,
las primeras 2 shaot, las primicias,
2-3 hours
2 o 3 shaot,
after sunrise
después del amanecer,
every week
cada semana,
as the first fruit
como las primicias,
gift
un regalo
of Thanksgiving.
de Hodú.
Do we have a few questions
Tenemos unas
before we
cuantas
sign
preguntas.
off? We'll give you a minute or so.
Antes de despedirnos, les vamos a dar unos minutitos para meditar qué quieren preguntar y aquí estamos esperando.
And once we answer your questions,
Y una vez que hayamos contestado sus
we're going to be
preguntas,
making the major announcement
vamos a hacer el anuncio importantísimo
that I referred to in today's post.
al que me referí en el anuncio de hoy.
So first we'll get to your questions.
Así que primero vamos a contestar sus preguntas.
Stay with us, please,
Quédense con nosotros, por
for
favor.
today's major announcement from your arms to Israel
Para el anuncio importantísimo de hoy de sus brazos de Israel,
International Ministries.
ministerios internacionales.
It's so huge
Es tan
that
grande
no one knows, not even Mariamni or Rivka know.
y ni siquiera Mariam ni Rivka saben cuál es el anuncio.
I'm the only one
Yo soy el único en Yahoo
who knows what I'm going to announce.
que sabemos lo que voy a anunciar. By the way, Benjamin Zerach Ben Moshe says, Shavua Tov,
Shavuot Tov.
we're on the way there.
Okay, he's going to assemble with us.
Yes, he will.
I hope he comes with a rake.
Yes.
Next question.
Next question. Próxima pregunta. Any questions? Going once.
Any questions?
Going twice.
Take advantage of this opportunity. We'll wait a
Tomen
minute.
ventaja de esta chance. Esperaremos unos minutitos. Sus
Maybe something's been
preguntas.
troubling or confusing you
Quizás algo te ha estado molestando, te ha estado confundiendo
from Scripture.
de la escritura.
Now is your opportunity
Esta es tu chance
to ask a question
para hacer tu pregunta
and to interact with us
y de interactuar con nosotros
in your commentary.
en los comentarios.
We'll wait. Any questions?
¿Preguntas?
If you have a question on Scripture, now is the time to type it in.
Si tienen preguntas acerca de la escritura, este es su momento de escribirlas
and we'll answer your question on the air.
y les contestaremos su pregunta en el aire, en
This is the
vivo.
part that requires your
Esta
participation.
es la parte que requiere su participación.
So if we don't have the participation, we won't do
Si
that.
no tendremos participación, ya no
We
haremos
won't
eso.
keep doing it.
No lo continuaremos haciendo.
Let me know if there are any questions coming in, please.
So far, no.
So far, no questions coming in.
Hasta el momento, nada de preguntas.
Okay. While we wait, do you have any closing thoughts or comments before I make the announcement?
Mientras que esperamos, ¿tiene usted algunos comentarios de cierre o pensamientos antes de proceder con el anuncio? Well, reminders for people who are interested to come to the conference. Recordatorio para las personas interesadas a venir a la conferencia, to get in touch with us, de comunicarse con nosotros, let us know, que nos hagan saber, to start preparing yourself, de comenzar a prepararse. You have less than a month, tienen menos de un mes para hacer sus preparativos.
We're talking about the Island Breeze Conference.
Hablando de la conferencia, la brisa de la isla, conferencia de la isla de la brisa.
Right.
Which
April
will be
20th through 22nd.
April 20 through the 22nd, 20 a 22 de
It'll be
abril.
Rosh Chodesh,
Celebrando
sorry,
Rosh,
Chodesh.
celebrando Chodesh número 2,
Shabbat,
Shabbat, and the 8th Yom.
and the 8th day.
Y el octavo Yom.
3 meetings in a row.
3 reuniones
And
seguidas
some excellent teaching.
y excelente enseñanza.
And Rav Asa will be with us from Trinidad.
El Rabás estará con nosotros de Trinidad.
I'll be sharing,
Él estará compartiendo
and Elder Chris also
y el anciano Chris Brumfield
will be sharing.
estará compartiendo.
Are there any questions coming in?
¿Preguntas? Checking.
If not,
Si no,
just write in your
so far,
comments.
no questions. Escriban aquí en los comentarios.
Okay. If not, here is the announcement that I want to make.
Aquí viene el anuncio que quiero hacerles.
It has been many years since we recorded the Passover.
Han sido muchos años desde que grabamos la Pascua.
But because we have so many brothers and sisters, and every week there's 1,000 people tuning in.
Pero ya que han habido... say that again, please.
Every week there's like 1,000 people tuning
Ya
in.
que cada semana se han sintonizado
The-
miles de mil personas,
And
más o menos.
I read a few comments, and one or two in particular from Australia,
Y leí unos cuantos comentarios, uno en particular que es de Australia,
that really convicted me
que me dio mucha convicción
and played on my heart.
y tocó sobre mi corazón.
Was the fact that
Some people don't have who to gather with.
some folks
Algunas personas
have no one
no tienen nadie
to gather with
con quien
and to
reunirse
celebrate Pesach.
y con quien celebrar la Pascua.
And it seemed to me that it's unseemly.
Y me pareció que no es todo,
It is not of the Ruach of Moshiach
no es de la Ruach de Mashiach,
that they should have no chavurah.
que no tengan nada de
Whether they
convivencia,
can't afford the Pesach,
ya sea que no puedan costar la Pascua,
or they have no one to share it with,
nadie con quien compartirla,
or they don't have any guidance on how to do it.
o no tengan guianza en cuanto a cómo hacerlo.
So I have made the decision.
Así que he hecho la
Here
decisión,
is the major announcement
este es el anuncio principal,
to televise the Pesach
de televisar la Pascua
live
en vivo
on Facebook.
en Facebook.
Now, before everybody has a panic attack,
Y antes de que todos se colmen de miedo,
the question is
la pregunta es
the best way to do it.
la mejor manera de hacerlo.
We have several options.
Tenemos varias
Because even if
opciones.
10, 15, 20 people are not alone,
Porque aunque 10, 15, 20 personas
Right?
no estén solas,
it's a blessing.
es una braca.
Even if 2, 3 families think, oh my gosh, I was able to celebrate Pesach this
Aunque
year,
2 o 3 familias puedan decir, oh, pudimos celebrar la Pascua este año
because of your kindness,
a causa de su tová,
then it's worth it.
entonces vale la pena.
So there are several ways we can do it.
Así que hay varias maneras en lo que podemos hacer eso.
You know, one way is we could bring our tablet to the porch
Una manera es que podemos traer nuestra tableta al patio
and have limited television.
y tener una vista limitada,
Because, you know, on a tablet, it's only, you got to turn the tablet.
porque la tabla se tiene que estar moviendo.
The other option
Y la otra opción
is to just put the chairs up
es simplemente levantar las sillas
and have it indoors
y tenerlo aquí
with
adentro
this camera.
con esta cámara.
So it's more of
Inside.
inside,
That's actually better.
and not only that,
Y no solo eso,
it's closer to the kitchen
está más cerca de la cocina.
to go back and forth.
Easier. I think that's going to be
So if
better.
I can get a little help
Entonces, si puedo conseguir algo de ayuda
and put the chairs up
para juntar las
and
sillas
bring the tables in
y meter las
and
mesas
get to help cleaning up,
y tener la ayuda en la limpieza, that can be done.
we can do that.
Podemos convert this to a dining room.
Correct. So,
Convertir esto en
and this area is big
una
enough,
sala de
and I can sit there,
comida,
see,
banquete,
as the head
y yo me puedo sentar ahí
with
como
the
la
flag in the
cabeza
back,
con la bandera atrás,
and that'd be perfect.
y eso sería perfecto.
Plus, if it's hot or cold,
Y si hace frío, si hace calor,
we'll see.
veremos.
We'll see how we set it up, or even here,
O aquí.
even here. But the point being that
Pero el enfoque es que
I want to do the best for our people,
quiero hacer lo mejor para nuestro pueblo
who love us and
Quienes
who
nos aman.
feel that they're echad with us.
y que se sienten que son ejad con
So
nosotros.
spread the good news
Así que compartan las alegres nuevas
to your friends down under or in New Zealand or wherever the lost sheep of Israel have been found.
a sus amigos en Nueva Zelanda o donde quiera que las ovejas perdidas de Israel han sido
That it is
encontradas.
my sincere intention,
Que es mi intención sincera,
Master willing,
si lo permite el
to
maestro,
allow everyone to participate
de permitir que todos participen
in a universal Seder
en un Seder universal,
And we
on the
thank-
right yom,
on the correct yom
with the right names, en el yom correcto, con los nombres
with
correctos,
all these benefits.
and with the proper menu.
Choir, please come in. We
Coro, por
want,
favor,
we
entren.
want, we want to bid you shalom, shalom
Les queremos decir shalom, shalom,
from Goshen B'Tzafon.
desde Goshen, Betzafon.
How I long to hold you once again, my people Israel. How I long to bring you peace and joy once more. I remember when you walked with me, my chosen Israel. How I long to have a time with you again. How I long to hold you once again, my people Israel. How I long to bring you peace and joy once more. I remember when you walked with me, my chosen Israel. How I long to have that time with